Throughout its history, Croatia has been a state known for its strong military traditions. During the era of the Roman Empire, both the Western and Eastern empires heavily relied on troops known as the Croat forces from Croatia, who served as mercenaries. These Croatian troops were even hailed as the pioneers of warfare tactics by light infantry units in the medieval period. In the modern era, Croatia's military strength is also significant. As a member of NATO, during the initial tensions between Russia and Ukraine, Croatia threatened to withdraw its forces from NATO if the alliance chose to get involved. The president of Croatia also criticized the supply of tanks to Ukraine, arguing that it would not resolve the conflict. However, by mid-2023, Croatia played a role in the supply of weaponry received by Ukraine, including helicopters, rocket launchers, anti-tank rockets, and tens of millions of ammunition rounds. This indicates that Croatia's position as a neutral country is gradually fading, and indirectly, Croatia must prepare for other options. Okay, let's create a scenario. If Putin's ultimatum to attack NATO countries that support Ukraine were to come true, Croatia would also be threatened. This raises the question, is Croatia capable of facing an attack from Russia? To answer this, we will examine the extent of Croatia's military strength. Croatia indeed has a long history regarding its military, but what we are discussing now is modern warfare. The armed forces of Croatia can be considered relatively new, having been established after Croatia gained its independence from Yugoslavia in 1991. Even in the phase of reclaiming, Croatian forces were essentially light infantry supported by basic tanks and artillery. Croatia's victory was, in part, due to NATO's intervention. Seeing the situation and having successfully defended its independence, Croatia's first agenda was to enhance its military forces. The development of military doctrine, culture, and professional troops was continuously promoted. This was not just to maintain independence, but also to reclaim the self-proclaimed Republic of Serbian Krajina. In 1992, Croatia began establishing officer schools to fill the void in platoon and company command positions. The progress made by Croatia was significant. In just about 3 years, by the end of 1995, the Croatian military became the principal military organization in the Balkans or Southeast Europe. The CIA's assessment of Croatian staff planning was very favorable, noting their capability in combined arms operations as well. During this phase, Croatia received considerable assistance in heavy weaponry, including Argentine Sider 155mm field guns, Romanian APR-40 rocket launchers, 21 MiG-21 fighter jets, and 8 Mi-24 Hind combat helicopters. Advancing even further, Croatia developed domestic UAVs or drones, one of which was the BL-M99 Bojnik, tasked with reconnaissance and directing artillery fire. For a newly independent country that took just 3 years to modernize its military, Croatia's success was remarkable. To understand the extent of the Croatian military's influence at that time, consider this analogy. NATO also assisted in the reclaiming of the Republic of Serbian Krajina and the end of the Bosnian War, but the CIA rated the contribution of the Croatian military as greater than NATO's. Without underestimating NATO's strength, it could be said that the Croatian military was stronger. Do you see now how developed the Croatian military has become? Here's the issue. After the war ended, Croatia gradually reduced its personnel numbers, even after choosing to join NATO in 2009. If we look at the graph, where the peak was in 1995, the number of personnel has been on a slow decline. Croatia's military personnel currently totals around 37,000, with only 15,000 active members, 20,000 in reserve, and 2,000 in paramilitary roles. If you believe the data presented by Global Firepower, their website indicates that Croatia's military ranking has now dropped to 69th, marking a decline. What's the reason for this? Primarily, it boils down to military budgeting. After the war, Croatia's military budget was significantly reduced. By the year 2023, it was around 1.2 billion US dollars, which is about 1.54% of its GDP. This figure is well below the NATO target, which requires member countries to allocate 2% of their GDP to their military budget. From the situation in Croatia, I want to highlight a particular fact. According to data from undisclosed sources, the Croatian government's mission was to retire as many generals as possible because they consumed a large portion of the GDP while being largely inactive. However, this is merely an excuse. The real reason is that the Croatian government fears a military coup, especially considering that the majority of these generals are former communists. Choosing to cut the budget has led to numerous issues. The reduction also affected Croatia's compulsory military service program, which was abolished in 2008. There have been plans to reintroduce compulsory military service, but they have not been implemented. Besides facing significant criticism, the simple reason is that the government does not have enough budget to finance their compulsory military service. Actually, Croatia has its own reasons for why its military strength is limited. First, Croatia is a small country and does not require a large military. Second, with the ongoing war between Ukraine and Russia, the Croatian government has concluded that modern warfare no longer requires thousands of tanks and millions of soldiers. Croatia now confidently prepares to defend itself, even as a small country with a modest military. Thirdly, Croatia can be said to have no issues with other countries and no reason to attack anyone. Conflicts with neighboring countries. All neighboring countries are not stronger than Croatia. Hungary and Serbia are on the same level. Slovenia, Bosnia-Herzegovina, and Montenegro are, arguably, weaker than Croatia. Therefore, the Croatian government deems the 7,100 army personnel, 1,250 Air Force personnel, and 1,400 naval personnel more than sufficient. And for a small country, Croatia is actually not weak. In terms of modern warfare, Croatian forces are well trained and equipped with reliable hardware. Croatia also has special forces whose primary mission is to ensure the combat readiness of special units in protecting the territorial integrity, sovereignty, and independence of the Republic of Croatia, as well as to participate in NATO-led operations. The reality is that Croatia's military is now far more modern and powerful in terms of armaments compared to Croatia in the 1990s. The Croatian army still operates about 75 domestically produced M84A4 old tanks as its main battle tanks. However, in terms of experience, these tanks are reliable. Moreover, the M84A4 is not a World War-era tank. The M84A4 has been operational with the Croatian military since 1985. The Croatian government already has a program to modernize its main battle tanks to replace the M84A4. If the option to modernize with Western tanks such as the Leopard 2, South Korea's K2 Black Panther, or France's Leclerc tanks does not materialize, then the M84A4 will be upgraded to its highest level by 2025. To compensate for the shortcomings of the outdated main battle tank, the M84A4, Croatia acquired two types of tanks, the Patria AMV for over 158 million euros and the PZH 2000, known for its high rate of fire. For its air force, the Croatian military continues to use MiG-21s, which have been in service since the early days of independence. Additionally, in 2021, Croatia purchased 12 used Dassault Rafale jets from France. To support its air forces, Croatia also acquired the most advanced American-made armored destroyer helicopters, the Black Hawks. A significant modernization effort is also underway in the Navy, with plans to design two domestically produced corvettes. What must be acknowledged about Croatia as a small country is its relatively developed and internationally competitive arms industry, ranking among the top 10 arms exporters in NATO and being one of the arms suppliers to the United States. When discussing the actual problems in the Croatian military, as mentioned earlier, the issue is budget cuts. The Croatian military experienced significant budget reductions from 2000 to 2010. As a result, the military faced stagnation, made no progress, and saw little investment. Several projects even had to be halted due to budget constraints. The decline in Croatia's military strength is also due to the government's focus on tourism. However, in recent years, NATO members have pressured the Croatian military to reinvest in advanced military equipment.